the way up to Skyward. So I would talk about the schools. I would also talk about the land that's available in the Buckner Terrace area, and that there is a lot of land that is ripe for new development. Thank you.
First thing I would like for you to know is that Buckner Terrace is a diverse neighborhood. It's not just one person or one race. It's generational residents. You have young residents with families, and you have older residents as well. So you have a mixed income here as well. Along with that, you have stability. You have people who are long-term and don't plan to go anywhere. That's one thing. Once you make a commitment to this community will make a commitment to you and support your business, because we want your business here. And we want to make sure that you succeed. If you succeed, then this community will succeed because of your success. Thank you.
First of all, I would say good to see you again, because I've already had some of these meetings, and I was headed up to another meeting, and I just wanted to remind you of what I told you last time. I was excited that you took a drive through the neighborhood to find out which vacant lots existed. But what I'd also like you to know is that you already have the data, so there'd be no delay, because many of the Buckner Terrace residents go to your stores and your restaurants in the adjacent Mesquite area. So you have the data to know that your business would be sustainable here, but you also have the data to know that many of your suburban residents in Mesquite come into Dallas and drive through and around Buckner Terrace to go to places west and downtown. So please remember to access that data report that we sent to you that was based on your sales already from Buckner Terrace residents. The other thing I'd like to remind you of is that lot that you were looking at. The Neighborhood Association Subcommittee is ready to talk to you about their priorities for that lot and what they know that community already wants. So you already have the data and you already have the interest. I look forward to hearing from you again. Remember, my number is 214-244-6067. My name is Miranda Herman. I think you got that on your mailbox.
Kevin Felder, you have a copy of the land use study that we've been working on for the last 7 years. And you see the traffic study that is included in the land use study. You can notice that we have the best access to downtown Dallas. We're 7 miles from downtown Dallas. Samuel Boulevard is a relief for I-30 going east and west. So if you're caught in traffic going to downtown Dallas, just get on Samuel, go all the way to Grand, jump back on, you'll save yourself about 10-15 minutes. You also see that we have 2 gated communities attached to the back of Buckner Terrace. We have semi and custom homes inside of Buckner Terrace. We have 24 acres of undeveloped land fronting Buckner Boulevard. And on the back end, we have about 10 acres on Forney Road. So we have the developable land, you have our land use study. What is the problem? I think that this is the most hidden gem in the city of Dallas, Buckner Terrace. Egress and ingress to downtown Dallas, egress and ingress to the surrounding suburbs, Mesquite, Garland. However, the land in Dallas, in Buckner Terrace, is much less expensive than Garland or Mesquite. And so this is the place to develop. Please develop here. Thank you.
Okay, that was a good check for understanding. And follow-up question, if you ask me, I think we kind of now I know where everybody's coming from on how they would sell the neighborhood to a potential developer. So this question, again, bear with me. I copied it as well as I can, but it was kind of a message to me, so I'm gonna try to phrase it on the fly here, and then Dr. Wallace, you will be the first to respond. What is your assessment of the performance of our current city manager, A.C. Gonzalez? What is your assessment of our current city manager, A.C. Gonzalez? And secondly, do you feel that he deserved a pay increase prior to receiving a formal performance review. Okay, I'm gonna restate that again. It was a great question sent in by our homeowners, so I'm gonna restate that again. Please assess the performance of our city manager, A.C. Gonzalez, and then as a follow-up, do you feel he deserved an increase in pay before a formal performance review? Dr. Wallace?
Juanita Wallace. Let's just be straight about this. When you look at education or you look at any field, before you get an increase, you have to be assessed. We have to look at, first of all, the criteria that we're going to use for assessing. Now, right now, I don't know the criteria for criteria that would be used to assess him. I've only had one meeting with him, so I can't very competently say whether to really assess him. But I can say he was cordial when I met with him. I called him on the phone, he answered. I made an appointment, I met with him. But as far as whether he should get an increase before he gets his evaluation, I would say no. And I ask you, how many of you received increase in your pay before you got an evaluation? I never did. As a matter of fact, I was a school administrator for 22 years in DISD and 11 years in Ohio, and never got an increase until I was evaluated. And on a couple of times, I didn't get an increase, just a lateral move. So no.
Yes, I'm Lawson, and you know, as I told you a little earlier, you know, I spent my career as a door-to-door salesman. I worked in door-to-door sales business. I was a manager for door-to-door salespeople, and it would have been really interesting for a salesman to come in on Monday and say, well, you know, I'm going to sell $1,000 this week, pay me. You know, that's not the way to operate a business, and I don't think that's the way to treat the city manager. You know, you have to evaluate what he does. And I don't know the criteria for that, as Ms. Wallace said, but he definitely needs to be evaluated before we pay him any additional money.
Yes, the slime version. So I wish I could get a pay increase without an assessment. That would be nice. But that's not my life and not the life of many of us in here. So no, I do not agree with that. As far as the city manager's performance, I would give him a B minus. And this is because some of you all may be familiar. I wrote an editorial about what we needed in the next city manager for the Dallas Morning News, which incidentally also has endorsed my candidacy. And if you go to that editorial and read what I outlined of what we need in a city manager, there are several areas in which AC has not performed in those areas. So I don't think he's any kind of catastrophe and anything like that, but I do think that there are some solid areas in which we can do better. And I look forward to bringing those to his attention as your next council member. Thank you.
I too would give the city manager a B minus. I think that there are some areas, I believe there are some areas that the city can improve in just in terms of changing the culture of City Hall. And as we look at reorganizing and restructuring some of the city departments, I believe that's why I would give him a B minus. And I also agree that someone should have an evaluation before receiving a pay raise on the job. And I believe that when he was evaluated recently, he did not receive a pay increase.
Randall Parker. I will also give Mr. Gonzalez a B minus because there are areas in which, you know, he has done well in and improved the city. city, the services for the city, but there are also other areas in which that needs to be improved. Should he get paid more money before he's being evaluated? No. We made that mistake once with the school board. Let's not make that mistake again. Thank you.
So one of the things that's extremely important to me is that some of the processes that are currently hidden in the city be made more transparent. One of the things that we don't know, we do know that in his recent evaluation he did not receive a raise. However, what we don't know is whether or not the initial pay that he had received, and if there were any HR issues with his initial both HR designation and his initial pay. So what we don't know is whether or not the pay was an adjustment and then they did not then give him a raise later, whether or not that had to do with actual goals that were set and whether or not that had to do with his evaluation as an actual employee. What we do know is that in general, there are things that are necessary for the city of Dallas to move forward. And as a city manager, Mr. Gonzalez is not necessarily, as far as we know and from what we can publicly grade him on, done all of the things that Dallas needs right now. Does he have a plan? Is that plan a part of his evaluation? Those are all things that we as citizens should know and we don't currently know.
Sometimes when you last, all of the good answers are gone. But, you know, I think that AC Gonzalez received his pay increase on the front end, so he wasn't worried about an evaluation. I mean, they already paid him $400,000. They're paying him $400,000. So what kind of evaluation would they give him? They wouldn't give him a bad evaluation. So he already received it. Whether he received an increase after that or not is moot. It's beside the point. So I would not have voted to give him a pay increase of $400,000 when Mary Soon was only making like, I think, $250 or something like that. So it seems like a little bit of bias to me. So I was definitely not in favor of that. And finally, as far as his performance is concerned, I've met Mr. Gonzalez on a couple of occasions, and I'm going to give him a solid B, okay? I'm not going to go with the B minus, I'm going to go with a solid B because he is dealing with a lot of challenges, and I think he's meeting those challenges to the extent that he's working with as best he possibly can with the resources that he has. So I think that he's doing a good job. Thank you.
James J.T. Turkett. Most of you know that Dallas is a city, managed, run city. I was talking to Principal Jones earlier before we came in here and telling the difference between it's not the mayor runs the city, it's the city manager. I met AC earlier, interim, he was the interim manager. I wasn't impressed, to be honest, at Skyline High School, the city councils. He was asked about some things and he did not have the answers right then, but he was an interim. So I take that into consideration. However, now he's more relaxed. I'm noticing he's kind of relaxed right now. But talking to the city employees, they keep talking about, well, the city used to be this, and they said very soon, and very soon. I want to hear him say AC, but I hadn't heard that yet. So if I had to give him a grade, my grade would probably be a B minus, awesome.
All right, I'm glad my grandmother always asked, did you try your best, rather than what grade you got. In any event, we'll move on, because, you know, I thought B minus would be a pretty safe grade. All right. We are on 6 of 8 questions, so ma'am, I appreciate your patience while I go, and we will have time to at least get whatever your interjection was to the floor. All right, so here we go. The first respondent for this question will be Mr. Lawson. Please tell us about the support that you have received in your candidacy. Do you have endorsements that are worthy of note, and how do you feel these endorsements offer you an advantage over your opponents?
Well, you know, I have received some endorsements, but but they are not, the people that you would think. I think Hassani have got Dallas Morning News and some of the really outstanding newspapers in the area. I've got friends, I've got neighbors, I've got church members, I've got everyday people who have gotten behind me and have helped me in this campaign. They have donated to me and they have worked with me. So sometimes you're not blessed with the elite, but you know, I am a man of the people, and it's been the people that have endorsed me.
You know, the interesting thing about endorsements, when I started this campaign process and being a truly independent grassroots candidate, I kind of was not interested in endorsements, only because I really wanted to take the time to get to the people first. Now, fortunately, over time with my views and stances, I have gained endorsements, not by virtue of politics or my connections, but by what I believe in and my philosophical stances. Some of these endorsements include the Dallas Green Alliance and the Dallas Sierra Club. I've gained those endorsements because of my views towards green energy and green spaces, and also being against the Trinity Tollway and adamant about being against the Trinity Tollway. I've also received the endorsement of the Stonewall Democrats. I've also received the endorsement of the Dallas Morning News. And I'm also supported by Ms. Anna Hill of Dolphin Heights and a number of other community leaders and homeowner association presidents. So
Some of the endorsements I've already mentioned, the Dallas Police Association, the Black Police Association, the Black Firefighters Association, Metro Tex Realtors, the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas, and then the Honorable Councilwoman Carolyn R. Davis, the Honorable Councilman Dwayne R. Caraway, the Honorable Larry Duncan from Dallas County Schools, and then others throughout the community, some community leaders as well, and the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas. And the advantage it provides is that it builds a broad coalition, and also